Hello everyone, Mark Major here at the Action Figuratorium. As some of you know, I am a real big toy collector. I'm also a fan of fantasy figures. I'm especially a big fan of the Four Horsemen's Mythic Legions line of action figures, and recently they did one of these, what's called an in-stock sale, where they take some new old stock that they have on hand for doing conventions and such. And on a Saturday early in the morning, they roll these out to the website and they have them in small quantities. And these few figures they have usually go pretty fast. I've been online for some of these sales before where you put something in your cart and by the time you get to checkout, it's already gone. And so these are extremely stressful, but they're also kind of a lot of fun. So Four Horsemen did another one of these on Saturday. A lot of things sold out pretty fast, but there's a few things that took a long time to sell out of, and there's some stuff that is actually still up for sale. So what I'm going to do is take a look at what didn't sell, and maybe we can try and figure out what it is about those particular figures that didn't really hook people. So stick around. Welcome back past the fantastic Action Figuratorium intro. We are at the halfway point in the year. We got another 6 months or so to go till the next intro. It will be even better than that intro. Guarantee, comma, no guarantee. All right, let's switch over to browser cam. Let's check this out. This is the website currently for the Four Horsemen. They're in stock sale, and you can't actually see my cursor going over this, but these are all the figures that they have up for sale or put up for sale. Everything you see here, including there's like little pins, there's mouse pads, stuff like that. And here we're going to now switch over to what is left in stock. You can see it's a couple, there's a moose and a horse. There's kind of a big giant guy, a sort of big guy with wings. There is a centaur and a couple of these $37 figures. So let's look and see what we got and try and figure out why they didn't go. Okay, so at the top of this is Alder the Moose. Now, I have seen people go crazy trying to get this moose before. I don't know why it didn't sell this time, other than maybe whoever was out there trying to scratch that itch, they have scratched it, and there just isn't as many people out there as you might think. I myself personally have picked up this from Boss Fight Studio. It's their Vitruvian Hacks elk moose thing. Mighty Steeds Kawiki is what it's called. This is 1/18th scale, not 1/12th scale, but only $30. And guess what? It scratches that itch for me, because I'm just kind of looking for something that might look cool with my sort of elf princess queen Artemis that I picked up. And for me, that's pretty good, but for other folks, they're probably looking for this moose. And I'm a little surprised that it's still in stock. It also seems like something that would go really well with their Santa Claus figure, Obscura figure that the Four Horsemen made. So I'm a little surprised at that, other than maybe it's the $60. I think maybe if it was $45, more people would buy it, but I don't know if that becomes something they can make money on. Same thing with the Phobos horse. This is the mount for one of the riders of the Four Horsemen. For those of you that don't know, the Mythic Legions has 4 factions of bad guys based upon the Four Horsemen, the Apocalypse. So there's a guy who represents war, there's a vampire woman who represents famine, there's an undead guy who represents plague, and then there's like a skeleton Grim Reaper dude who's kind of a death figure, and each one of them has their own mounts. There, of course, are good guy factions that oppose them. Right, so opposed to war is going to be a bunch of dudes and knights. Opposed to like the weird vampire lady, or a bunch of like sort of elves and sylvan people, things like that. You know, It's about factions and balance, good guys, bad guys, that kind of thing, based loosely around the factions of the Four Horsemen themselves. This, of course, was the vampire wave, the famine wave. Most of these figures that they were selling are from that wave. There's a couple leftovers from one of their all-star sales in here. So the moose, and they had there was an elven dude and there was an elven woman, and those, of course, sold out quite quick. I already had one of them. You can still see the centaur is up for sale here. The horse, the black horse here, Phobos, goes for the Four Horsemen Vampire Rider, of which I have to tell you guys that in the sale I did buy her, the Alithia figure. She's all the way second to a third from the right in the middle row there. She's the vampire woman with the crazy things coming out of her back. And I did not get the horse. I can't really budget for that, but I would love to have it because I did pick up, of one of the other Four Horsemen, the undead skeleton guy who represents death, and I got his skeletal horse because I figured, what are the chances of somebody doing a really badass skeleton horse ever again? You should get this now. And what that means is that eventually I'm going to have to get all the Four Horsemen of the Four Horsemen, and I'm going to have to get each of their mounts. I'm going to have to eventually buy this. I should just buy it now. It's only going to go up in money if I try and find it later. Even if I try and find it on a retail site like a Big Bad Toy Store, it's more than 55 bucks. Just can't budget it quite right now. But I'm a little surprised that more people didn't buy this and make it sell out, because the horses that the Four Horsemen do in their Mythic Legions collections are amazing looking, and everybody really got turned on to them when the Headless Horseman figure Obscura came out. I think that was last October. It was like maybe a Halloween thing. Anyways, people went nuts for horses. I did a great video on 5 alternatives to Mythic Legions horses. So I'm surprised that this guy, this Phobos here, did not fully sell. Look at that. That looks amazing. I'm going to get one of these. I will have one. I just can't get one right now. Okay, so those two didn't sell, and this big, huge, giant, weird vampire strongman is still in stock. And I think that really what it comes down to is, I think on this stuff it's kind of more about price. You could get this centaur guy for $65. Obviously, he's quite cool. Or you could get two $37 guys for pretty close to the same price. A little bit more, but, you know, similar, that kind of thing. So I really think it comes down to the bigger toys, the bigger guys. They're more expensive and people don't buy them. However, they do have some trolls, some really big figures, and they're quite expensive because they're bigger, and those sold out right away. I think that they do really small quantities of those, so I think that they've become very difficult to get because they don't do a whole lot of them, is what I'm just kind of projecting. So I think that those guys have a genuine demand and an actual low supply that keeps it where it is. But the other guys, I got to say, I'm pretty surprised. All right, so this Darina Oniris is, I think she's kind of a She-Ra nod that they did, and this Lord Dragul, I don't know exactly what kind of a nod he is, other than he's another one of these vampire dudes. These are sold out. I don't know why they're still showing in their page. They removed other figures that sold out, but maybe it's recent. Varg for $45 is a bit surprising, and so I'm starting to think that maybe people are just not drawn to and buying enough of the vampire faction. They're just not excited by it, is what I'm guessing. And so just a guy who's a beefcake who happens to be white with a bat head is not enough for the average person unless you're specifically collecting them. That is one opinion. Same thing with this, with the centaur guy. I think he's just overpriced for the average person. I mean, I think he's probably worth the $65 when you get him in hand, but I think when you're on a website and you're looking at what to buy, I think most people are just going to pick a couple $37. All right, so the last three guys here that people didn't buy, there's a skeleton guy, there's an orc guy who is flocked. That's where they put glue on the body and then sprinkle magic powder that makes it look like and feel like he is AstroTurf. And then there's this Mephitor guy, if that's how you pronounce it, and he's basically kind of a homage to the Skunkor guy from Masters of the Universe, who was really just a repaint of Merman to look like a skunk. They gave him the same kind of color scheme of armor, color scheme of head. Stinkor is his name. Stinkor had a blue shield. This guy has a blue shield, so this guy is a bit of an homage. Those three guys, including the last guy here, Tibius, who's a skeleton, were unsold, and I think the reason why this guy hasn't sold yet is because I think the skeletons, although if you're a skeleton builder, you're going to buy a bunch of these guys. They're obviously pretty cool. Everybody needs skeletons. I bought Morgulith at one point, who is a female Lich Queen woman. Very cool figure. I was thinking I might resell it or trade it. I'm definitely going to keep it. It's grown on me. It's pretty cool. But I think that at the end of the day, the skeleton figures are just the same old skeleton in different armor. And so once you have some of those, you're kind of good. That's my take on it, is that the skeletons are a bell curve, an easy sell at first, a difficult sell at the end. When you have a bunch of them, it's hard to sell a lot of them because, again, they're just, skeletons and armor. Why this guy didn't sell, I don't know. He's flocked, for one, which is really unusual. He's an orc. He's green. It just seems like the kind of thing that would be sort of an in, unless like the majority of people buying Mythic Legions are people who are going to do customs, in which case this guy is not going to be customizable. He's kind of stuck as a moss man. You're not going to be able to swap a lot of parts with some of the other figures. That may be why he didn't sell. Why this guy doesn't sell, I don't know, but I was watching a live stream with Big Nerdy from the Nerdzoic YouTube channel, who also started his own toy store that he runs out of his basement. I plan to make a reaction video to one of his videos later in the week, and he talks about in one of his live streams how he doesn't buy enough Mythic Legions, that they sell really well, with the exception of this guy. He said he has like 5 of them in stock and they're just sitting there. And I've been to some other websites as well, and they had this guy. I think I saw him on My Wife Is Going to Kill Me podcast. And so I'm not sure why people aren't turned on by this dude, but he seems to be kind of a genuine lemon for the Four Horsemen. He seems to be the one guy out of their whole group of figures that does not sell, that nobody wants. And what's interesting was that I was watching a live stream of the Four Horsemen, and in the chat, that guy Dorklayer was there, and he actually says that he needs this figure. So I hope he picked him up. I think that there may be a time, because this is $37 and whatever it takes to ship, it's going to be about an even $50 to get this to your house. I think that there may be a time in which you could get one of these guys for less than that, and maybe even less than this, that the demand would be so low that you can buy these cheap. Just a prediction. I don't know anything. It's always guesswork. Who knows? It's a lot of fun. But that is the remaining in-stock stuff that didn't sell from this vampire-heavy wave that they did. I always think that this stuff is really interesting to see what people really like and really are purchasing, rather than just what you see in people's photo streams and their Instagram streams and their Twitter streams, what people really own. And I wonder how much this kind of stuff influences what the Four Horsemen make next. Like when they go to do another wave, do they say to themselves, look, the sales of like skunk men and skeletons and flock guys is really kind of low. Let's sort of not do those again. They're kind of a bummer for us. Let's just sort of stick to what just gets shoveled out, which seems to be a horseman, half human, half horse, but not centaur. So with that, I thank everybody who made it to the end of this episode. Do you love the Mythic Legions as much as I do? I just kind of cherry pick the ones that I like. And I'm a soft collector, and I don't go all out on the stuff. But I have to say that anytime I go out on a limb and pick something up because it's for a good price at the super sale, I always end up falling in love with it and wanting to keep it. So with that, I'll catch you guys on the next one.